from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else, with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What is up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to go over UFC 295. Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira. They are fighting for the 205 light heavyweight strap this Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, New York City. And in the co-main event, we have a late notice mix-up as the greatest fighter of all time, Jon Jones, tears his pec, gets injured, and has to pull out of his main event heavyweight fight against Stipe Miocic. So now the UFC gives us an interim heavyweight title fight between Sergei Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall. This is talk about replacement fights. This is as good as it gets, guys. This is a banger of a fight. Someone's going to get slept. Absolutely. Bodies are going to hit the floor in the main event and co-main event. This card is stacked, man. I am so excited for this card. From the prelims to the main card, we have 10 ranked fighters on this card. Nothing but good fights, good matchups, high-level fights, my type of fights, man. I can't wait for this card. We're coming off a winning week where we did collect 1.08 units at UFC Sao Paulo with our bets, so we're happy about that. We went 7-2 on our picks, and yeah, man, we've won money 2 weeks in a row and 3 out of the last 4, so we're looking to extend our winning streak to 3 straight winning weeks, and it's going to be exciting because there are a ton of money lines, a ton of props that I like on this card, so man, I feel like I'm going to have a lot of, exposure on this card with my bets. So without any further ado, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into the first prelim. In the very first fight of the night, we have a men's featherweight fight between Denis Buzukja and Jamall Emmers. Denis Buzukja comes in as the underdog with an 11-3 record, currently sitting as a plus 220 underdog. He is 26 years old, 5'9", with a 70.5-inch reach. He is taking on Jamall Emmers, who comes in with a 19-7 record, currently sitting as a minus 250 favorite, 34 years old, 5'10", with a 74-inch reach. So right away on the very first fight of the night, we have some line movement we need to talk about. Jamall Emmers earlier in this week was minus 350, minus 340, a pretty wide favorite, guys. Now a ton of money is coming in on Denis Buzukja, pushing Jamall Emmers all the way down to around minus 250, 260 on the betting money lines here. And I gotta say, I disagree with the line movement here. I am going with Jamall Emmers in this fight. I think he wins the decision in this fight, and I just think that he's a better overall fighter in this fight. Denis Buzukja, when I watched his tape, man, nothing really sticks out to me about his game. He has, people want to talk about Jamall Emmers having low fight IQ, but to me, Denis Buzukja actually has some pretty low fight IQ as well. In his fight before the UFC, he was fighting a man that was 6'4" and Soslin Abanikov. That dude was a total bum, man. And in that fight, Denis Buzukja, just one fight removed from his previous fight, was throwing jumping, flying knees, ending up on bottom and then getting up and then throwing him again later in the fight. Like, obviously, he didn't learn from his first mistake, ending up on bottom. And he had extended close minutes against a guy who was 6'4" who I view as a very low rate fighter. He came in on short notice against Sean Woodson, missed weight, and lost that fight as well. 30-27, lost 3 rounds on every single judge's scorecard. Granted, Sean Woodson has a crazy frame for the division, like a 6 foot 145er, which is very rare. Which is definitely not Jamall Emmers. Jamall Emmers, a good striker with good defensive grappling. The only thing I don't like about Jamall Emmers' striking is that he doesn't defend leg kicks at all, and I think that's what cost him his most recent fight. He's coming off a loss to Jack Jenkins, where I thought he was a better fighter. I thought he won a decision in that fight, and it was a really close fight that could have went his way, and I personally did think that he won that fight, but that's the kind of thing with Jamall Emmers. He's actually 1-3, or I believe, or 1-4 in the UFC as a favorite. So a lot of guys don't like this dude. It's funny because he lost against Pat Sabatini, the famous heel hook. He drops Pat Sabatini in about 30 seconds, who's also on this card later on the card. And then he himself goes down, to try to finish the fight and gets heel hooked, seconds later. So that's never good. But I don't think Denis Buzukja is going to be out here submitting Jamall Emmers. No way. I think this does go to all 3 rounds. I think this goes to the cards. I think Jamall Emmers wins the decision. And like I said, man, Denis Buzukja, I actually worry about his fight IQ as well. One thing I will say is that he's fighting out of Longo and Wyman MMA. There's a lot of guys from that gym on this card. He's a local boy. He will be fighting in his hometown, so the crowd definitely will be on his side. reacting to every single little thing he does. But I actually think that Jamall Emmers is a tough fight for him, a tough matchup. He's going to be pretty much better than Dennis every single area of this fight. Dennis is going to be pushing forward, trying to get this fight along the cage, along the clinch, and get him down. But I think that Jamall separates, works him bad in the clinch, and wins the decision here. So give me Jamall Emmers to start the night with a decision win. And then up next, we have a banger of a fight. This one's going to be a super exciting fight. We have a men's flyweight fight between Joshua Van and Kevin Borjas. Joshua Van comes in with an 8-1 record, currently sitting as a -240 favorite. He is 22 years old, 5'5", with a 65-inch reach. He's fighting Kevin Borjas, who is 9-1, coming in at +190 on the money line. He is 25 years old, 5'5", with a 68-inch reach. So same height with a 3-inch reach advantage going toward Borjas here in this fight. Super funny. Gotta mention real fast, his nickname is El Gallo Negro, the Black Cock. For any of you guys that know Spanish, that's super funny. Nice nickname there, Kevin. I am going with Joshua Van in this fight. I think that Joshua Van is just a more sophisticated striker. Nothing against Kevin Borjas, man. He looked good in that Dana White Contender Series fight, his most recent fight, where he fought a grappler that was trying to get him down and control him in that fight. And he showed good get-up ability, good jiu-jitsu, good sweeps, and good cardio, man. He had good pace to get a guy like that off you as many times as he did. And then to just work him on the feet was really impressive, man. Kevin Borjas is really fast. So one thing I will say is he's kind of wild and he's kind of wide. One thing I will say about Kevin's striking is that I really like his body shots. This guy's very slick to the body, very quick. He'll throw that right hand and sneak that left hook under to the body really fast right after. There's actually really good speed on it. Joshua Van on the other side just has crazy power, man. And it's crazy that he's this young. He's 22 years old. I'm super, high on Joshua Van, especially for his age. Both these guys are actually relatively young in their career, 25 and 22 years old here. But I am going to go with the young guy in Joshua Van. He impressed me in that Zagazumagulov fight. I think Zagazumagulov would beat anyone that Kevin Borjas has fought so far. I'm not trying to do MMA math here, but Joshua Van came in on short notice, fought a veteran in Zagazumagulov, and got the win. Granted, it technically wasn't that crazy of a short notice fight for Joshua since he was getting ready for a Dana White Contender Series fight. But the UFC knew he was good enough to get a shot against Zalgas, so they said, you know what, skip Dana White Contender Series. We're going to give you this guy Zalgas because all of his opponents keep pulling out. And what's Joshua go in there and do? He wins as an underdog. So shout out to Joshua Van. He's a good fighter. I actually think that he has more ability to win a decision if it does go all 3 rounds. And I actually think that he has the round-changing power more so than Kevin Borjas. Give me Joshua Van to win a decision in this fight. And up next, we have another banger of a fight. This one's super close. We have a men's bantamweight fight between Kang and John Sexy Mexi Castañeda, best nickname in the UFC. We have Kang coming in 19-9, coming in at +120 on the money line, 36 years old, 5'9", with a 73-inch reach. John Castañeda comes in with a 20-6 record, currently sitting at -140. He is 31 years old, 5'6", with a 71-inch reach. Now, man, this is a super close fight, and the line indicates that for sure, but this line actually flipped. We did have line movement on this fight as well. When this fight opened, Kang was the favorite, and John Castañeda was the underdog, and now Castañeda finds himself at -140, and Kang +120. And at that line, I do agree with it. I think that's fair. I don't really see any perceived value on either side at those odds, but I am going to go with John Castañeda, another favorite in this fight. But for me, this is an extremely live underdog. It's funny because Kang is 36 years old, so 5-year age gap going in Castañeda's favor here. 3-inch height advantage going towards Kang, though, and a 2-inch reach advantage going towards Kang. Kang will be the older and bigger fighter in this fight for sure. But man, it's funny. Kang is really old, but he's getting better. Like it's hard to say that because he's so far deep into his career. He's super experienced, but his striking looked really good against a tough fighter in Banal Dakari, and then he looked really good against Chris on a 2-5 winning streak. Where, like I said, he kind of impressed me. It's so weird to have a fighter that old, especially in this weight class, look good and especially show improvements, in the striking, because I view him more as a grappler, and with good jiu-jitsu, good black belt, and good wrestling, good get-ups, good reversals. But his striking is looking fine, man. I think he'll be comfortable, if it's a 15-minute striking fight, at distance here against Castañeda. But that brings me to John Castañeda, dude. John Castañeda, to me, does have the wrestling upside in this fight. I don't perceive John, though, to go out here and try to grapple heavy Kang, because if he does get Kang down, I figured Kang will be able to get up, and that's just going to make John Castañeda more tired. But I do think that Castañeda will win the striking exchanges in this fight, but at -140, I'm not doing it. I'm not laying juice on Castañeda. I'm not parlaying him. I do think that it does go to decision again. I know that's 3 straight decisions to start the night, but kind of rare. I really doubt that happens, but I'm going with my gut. I'm going with John Castañeda to win a decision in this fight. I think he's a young guy with more pop on his shots at this point in his career. Kang is super durable, though. I don't foresee John finishing Kang. Kang's never been finished in the UFC. Super durable, super durable. I know he's old, 36 years old, has to make the weight cut to 135. That's pretty up there in age, man. Your brain can only take so many, weight cuts. Give me John Castañeda to win a decision in this fight. Fast. And up next is a super good fight. A fight where I do foresee myself betting on. We have a men's lightweight fight between Jared Flash Gordon. He is taking on Mark the Olympian Madsen. Jared Gordon comes in with a 19-6 record, currently sitting as a -200 favorite. He is 35 years old, 5'9", with a 68-inch reach. He's fighting Mark the Olympian Madsen. He comes in with a 12-1 record, suffering his only professional loss in his most recent fight. 39 years old, currently sitting as a +165 underdog. He is 5'8", with a 72-inch reach. I'm going with Jared Gordon in this fight. I think he wins this fight via decision, which makes 4 straight decisions in this prediction video. But I will say, I do foresee myself betting this fight. I want to see that line come down a little bit. Right there on the screen, you can see Jared Gordon listed as a -200 favorite. Right now, he's around -180, -185, which I think is fair, man. I really like that line. So the way Mark Madsen fights, all right, clearly you can see he's an Olympian. He's an Olympian silver medalist years and years ago. And this was a really good wrestler, my type of fighter, the type of fighter that I like to bet on. This guy can just control, pretty much everybody he fights, and just relentless, man. This dude's takedowns are unreal. The speed on his entries are unreal. His transitions, the way he can pass guard is unreal. Very good grappling, man. Very good grappling. That's the thing. He is one-dimensional on the feet. He's not very good. Obviously, man, you spend your whole life trying to make it to the Olympics, trying to medal in the Olympics, and you finally get there. I would imagine your striking isn't as good. I mean, he's not like Ben Askren level bad, but it's not all the way there. It's nothing against him. Whereas Jared Gordon is just way more well-rounded in MMA than Mark Madsen, which is why I think he is a favorite and why I think I will be. I don't foresee a finish in this fight. If there is a finish, I actually think it's going to be coming from Jared Gordon in round 3 once Madsen slows down. And that's the thing about these Olympic wrestlers, guys. Other than Cejudo and maybe a little bit DC, a lot of these guys, don't have the best gas tank. A lot of these guys come from college wrestling where the pace is just crazy. The pace is so fast and so short that in a 15-minute fight, these guys tend to gas out right around that second round. And this dude, Mark Madsen, he definitely does that. He definitely slows down as the fight goes on. And I don't foresee Jared getting finished by Mark Madsen, definitely not getting knocked out. So I think this does go, extended and goes 15 minutes in this fight, where I think Jared Gordon just has a way more, I guess you could say, ability to win a decision, whereas Mark Madsen is going to be having to control Jared Gordon the whole time, every single round for 3 rounds, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think that in round 3, Madsen will be faded by then, will be slowing down. Jared Gordon, the second he stuffs a takedown in this fight, it's going to be going downhill for Madsen, so I think that tide that begins to change in that second round. I wouldn't be shocked to see Jared Gordon finish this fight, but at plus money, I did see Jared Gordon's decision pop around plus 200, plus 220, and that is something that I'm taking a look at. But just as far as the money line, minus 185, I think is a safe play. Yes, Jared Gordon is 35 years old, getting up there in age for sure. But Mark Madsen is 39 years old. He's almost 40 years old. Been cutting weight his whole entire life, man. It's going to add up eventually. A lot of miles on him. I got to say, in the most recent fight, Jared Gordon got headbutted by Bobby Green. And you hate to see that, but at least it was 5 months ago. He did take a significant time off. And, that sucks. You never want to see a guy get a fight ended because of a headbutt. He got knocked out in that fight. And before that, he got robbed, man. He got robbed against Paddy Pimblett. He should have won. I'll be honest. I had money on Paddy Pimblett. I felt terrible for Jared Gordon. The UFC robbed him for sure. So in the last 10 months, he hasn't gotten his win bonus. And Jared Gordon needs to get paid, man. I love betting on guys that are desperate for win, desperate for money. Nothing against. I'm not saying he's poor or anything, but he wants to get his winning paycheck here. So give me Jared Gordon here to win a decision, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. He's another local guy, a local New York guy, so the crowd's definitely going to be on his side. And Jared Gordon comes from a good camp, good wrestlers in his camp. He's training guys like Bilal Muhammad, who I know will have his grappling ready for Mark Madsen. So give me the more well-rounded fighter in Jared Gordon to defeat the one-dimensional Mark Madsen. I'm gonna stop saying that because all these fights are banger. This fight is a banger, dude. In the lightweight division, we have Nazim, the Black Wolf Sadykhov, taking on Slava. I'm just calling him Borshchev because his first name is just so crazy. Nazim Sadykhov coming in 9-1, minus 140 on the betting line. 29 years old, 5'10", with a 69-inch reach. He's fighting the fan favorite, Slava, who comes in with a 7-3 record, currently sitting as a plus 115 underdog, 31 years old, 5'11", with a 59-inch reach. So for this fight, this comes down to Nazim's game plan. I really think that this is a pretty evenly matched fight, but we've seen the holes in Borshchev's game. Clearly, he can't wrestle. Clearly, he can defend a takedown. Clearly, off his back, he is not the same fighter. This dude has elite Muay Thai and kickboxing. This guy's kickboxing coach at a very wrestling-heavy camp at Team Alpha Male with who's the California kid? Uriah Faber. He's over there at Uriah Faber's gym. He's a striking coach over there. But it's weird because he can't wrestle, and that's a wrestling-heavy gym. Nazim Sadykhov, a very good striker, very well-rounded, but I've never really seen him utilize a grapple-heavy game plan on a guy. He's more so a striker. In his last fight against Terrence McKinney, yes, he got wobbled a couple times in that first round, got rocked, but everybody gets rocked against Terrence McKinney. Drew Dober got rocked against Terrence McKinney as one of the best chins of all time. And he survived that first round like he needed to do. And then he went out and dominated Terrence McKinney in that second round, finished Terrence McKinney by rear naked choke. He dominated that fight in that second round. Once Terrence McKinney got tired, Nazim took over. It's the fight before that has me worried. The Evan Elder fight. I know it says right there he won via TKO Dr. Stoppage, so you think, oh, he got a knockout, must have been sick. But that was a pretty even fight, man. That was a pretty 50-50 fight where I had money on Nazim, and I was sweating, dude. And luckily, Nazim gets a nasty cut on his opponent. The opponent gets cut up. Doctor goes into the octagon and stops it, which, good for us. We cashed our bet. But halfway through that, towards the end of that fight, I think that third round is when it stopped. I was sitting there like, dude, this is close. This is a pretty close fight. Nazim, his striking defense is not that good. He is hittable for sure. His head is up in the sky to be hit for sure. And I worry that he gets rocked and dropped in this fight if he can't wrestle. Slava, like I said, very good striker, no takedown defense. And if he can keep a fight standing, or if a fighter that he's fighting doesn't want to pursue the wrestling, he's probably going to win. He's probably going to hurt you and win. It just comes down to, can Nazim utilize that wrestle-heavy game plan in this fight? And I figure it's going to be a 50-50 fight on the feet, probably more so going to Slava's way, like going his way. And that's when Nazim's going to mix in a takedown. So it's weird when you have a 50-50 fight and then a guy can have a clear advantage in the grappling area to kind of overcome the 50-50 in the striking. You would tend to lean Nazim. Well, I actually am going my first underdog on this video. I'm picking Slava Borshchev to win via knockout. I think he knocks out Nazim Sadykhov. I don't think that Nazim's striking defense is that good. I think that's going to cost him in this fight. He's still young, 29 years old. And like I said earlier in the video, he is fighting out of Longo and Weidman MMA, a New York-based gym. That's Aljamain Sterling's gym, Merab Dvalishvili, those guys. Two great grapplers, right? Sarah Longo. Those guys have coached great grapplers in their time, so I'm sure they have good IQ enough to come in here and know, oh, hey, we should definitely wrestle this dude, because if we don't, we're going to get rocked. So I know for a fact, I shouldn't say that. I know for a fact his coaches are going to tell Nazim to wrestle, but I don't know for a fact that he's going to do that. I actually think that he will and probably fail as the fight goes on. Which leads me to a Slava pick. Give me Slava. I don't know if I'm betting it. Give me Slava to win this fight. I wouldn't be shocked to see him knock out Nazim. But I am going to go with a decision or third round finish for Slava. Up next is a very controversial fight. We have a women's strawweight fight between Tabatha Baby Shark Ricci. He's taking on Lupita Goodinez. Ricci comes in with a 9-1 record, currently sitting as a plus 140 underdog. She is 28 years old, 5'1", with a 61-inch reach. He's taking on Lupita Godinez, who comes in with an 11-3 record, currently sitting as a minus 165 favorite. She is 30 years old, 5'2", with a 61-inch reach. This is a super interesting matchup. They're both equally skilled, in my opinion, in every area. Grappling and striking, they seem to be pretty evenly matched. I will give Lupita a slight edge on the feet over Ricci here, but I will give Ricci the edge in submissions off the ground than Lupita. I don't think Lupita is the best finisher on the mat. She's just more so controlling people. She has very good wrestling and top control, whereas Ricci, to me, is more of a threat to finish the fight if it does end up on bottom, if she is in top control. If she is, looking for arm bars, triangles, and arm triangles like that. Whereas Lupita, she tends more to control you and land damage from top with her top control. And it comes down to, can Lupita keep this on the feet? And if she chooses to keep it on the feet, how will this look? It's tough. At minus 165, I don't foresee myself betting this fight. Well, because first of all, you guys should know this is going to go to the cards. I really doubt that any girl gets finished in this fight. So right away, we know that it's going to go to the cards. So why wouldn't you just bet the prop Tabatha Ricci, via decision, or Lupita Godinez via decision? Because I don't think that either girl is going to get finished. Can Tabatha Ricci get top control and land some vicious ground and pound on Lupita and make her give up her neck and choke her out? Yeah. Can Lupita Godinez take control and take Ricci on top, get her on bottom and get on top of Ricci and do the same? I think so too. Tabatha Ricci, when she fought Jillian Robertson, she got put in some pretty bad spots. That's what kind of made me pick Lupita Godinez. There was times where Robertson, was out grappling Ricci where I was kind of shocked. Nothing against Ricci, but I think Robertson's a worse, wrestler than Goodinez, probably a better submission artist than Goodinez. But man, Goodinez's wrestling is legit. Her striking is legit. She is improving, man. She's with Alexa Grasso and that new camp out in Mexico. And since then, she's looked good, man. In her last 2 fights, she looked good. And the fight against Elise Reed, I was at that fight, and she just dominated that fight. But it's funny because just because you beat Elise Reed, dominated the way like she did, Elise Reed and Tabatha Ricci are nowhere near the same level of skill. I think Tabatha Ricci would kill Elise Reed. So to come in around almost now at -2-1, -165, it's a bit of a stretch in my opinion. Give me Lupita Godinez to win this fight via decision. I figured that's probably the best bet. Over 2.5 is probably a parlay piece. But yeah, give me Lupita Godinez via decision. Fight here. We have a men's lightweight fight. I'm going to keep this one short. Mateusz Rebecki taking on Roosevelt Roberts, making his return to the UFC. We have Rebecki coming in 18-1. He is 31 years old, 5'7", with a 66-inch reach. He is fighting Roosevelt Roberts, who is 12-3, 29 years old, 6'2", with a 73-inch reach. So right away, you can see right there, tail of the tape is crazy. Roosevelt Roberts is 6'2". Rebecki is 5'7". He will be enormous in there compared to Rebecki. He has a crazy reach advantage. He has 7 inches of reach over Rebecki in this fight. And yeah, he's going to be towering over Rebecki. But Rebecki is probably going to level change, get this guy down, and probably finish him from there. Nothing against Roosevelt Roberts. I actually really liked him on The Ultimate Fighter, the most recent season. And he's a good fighter. I was kind of surprised when he got cut. Tough division, though. I mean, 155 is probably the most deep division on the entire planet. So it's not like they need to be keeping guys like Roosevelt Roberts around, for the name of the division. They can do without him. They can definitely find another Roosevelt Roberts out there for sure. But, dude, 6'2" for 155. It's pretty insane. I wonder if this is going to be at a catch weight since it's such late notice replacement. Roosevelt Roberts is taking the place of another fighter that got injured, Aliev, I believe, this Russian thick grappler. And so Roberts gets his second chance in the UFC. He was cut. He was on The Ultimate Fighter, and now he's back in the UFC officially. But he's fighting a killer in Rebecki. Rebecki's really good grappling, good top control, decent striking, pretty well-rounded. But I just think that since he is in fight shape, he was preparing for a fight against a killer Russian, a little mini Khabib clone. Whereas Roosevelt Roberts, I don't know. He might have been training. He might have had a fight coming up. Who knows? But it's just too much of a risk. I haven't, right there on the screen, you can't see a money line. I haven't seen the odds. I haven't seen the money line drop for this, but I would assume Rebecki is going to be the biggest favorite on the entire card. But it's interesting because when you have that big of a size advantage, and nothing to lose really for Roberts, I expect him to fight pretty motivated in this fight. But give me Rebecki to get this guy on the ground and probably submit him or win via ground and pound at some point in this fight. So give me Rebecki TKO round 2. And in the featured prelim, we have a banger of a flyweight fight between Steve Erceg and Alessandro Costa. Astro Boy returns with a 10-1 record, sitting as a -160 favorite. He is 28 years old, 5'8", with a 68.5-inch reach. He is fighting Alessandro Costa, coming in with a 13-3 record, currently sitting as a +130 underdog, 27 years old, 5'4", with a 67-inch. I'm going with Astro Boy in this fight. I learned my lesson. I used to do the show with my boy Martin. He was my producer. And for that episode, he was on the show, and he told me, man, he was like, Erceg's going to beat Dvorak. Erceg's going to beat Dvorak. He's actually going to knock him out. He's actually going to rock him and finish him. And he almost did. But I doubted him. I like Dvorak. He's pretty high on Dvorak. Ranked fighter in the UFC. Good striking, good frame for the division. And Erceg comes in on short notice and beats a pretty dangerous fighter, in my opinion, and looked good doing it. I really like the striking from Erceg. I didn't expect that from him at all. I was expecting more of a grappling game plan, but his hands looked fine. I will say Erceg's striking defense is a little suspect. He is hittable for sure. And yeah, man, now first full camp in the UFC for a fight. I'm interested to see how he's going to look. He's fighting Alessandro Costa, who, man, I can't really get a good read on this guy. Another good grappler with good pops in his hands, heavy hands, those in good combination. But he came in and made his UFC debut against Amir Al-Basri, where he got rocked a ton, but it's kind of hard to take a good read like of a data point from that, because Amir Albazi to me is a top 5 fighter in that division. He's like a top 3 fighter actually in that division. And so to come in on 10 notice or a short notice and get finished the way he did, I mean, it's a tough look, but I mean, I kind of don't really see how else that fight was going to go. And then he comes back and beats a one-dimensional, jiu-jitsu guy in Jimmy Flick and finishes him, looks good doing it. But another fight where I'm like, I'm not really that impressed. I'm not too high on him, beating Jimmy Flick the way he did, and I'm not too low on him losing to Amir Albazi the way he did. But pretty good fighter, a pretty good, well-rounded fighter. I'm going with Astro Boy. Like I said, man, I like the striking from Astro Boy. I was really impressed with him in that most recent fight, most recent performance. And so, yeah, man, I'm going with Astro Boy in this fight. A big size advantage for him, 4 inches of height and an inch and a half of reach. I'm interested to see how Costa approaches this, especially with the distance here of Erceg, the size of Erceg. But yeah, give me Erceg to win a decision in this fight. And I wouldn't be shocked to see this fight not go the distance, man. Both these guys like to go forward. And Erceg has a sneaky good jiu-jitsu game. Like I said, before the UFC, before that Dvorak fight, I actually expected him to seek submissions. So, to get the fight to the mat and then try to win via submission somehow. But then, he showed he had really good hands, really good dangerous hands. Had Dvorak reacting really badly to when he was hitting him. And Costa, like I said, likes to go forward, has been finished already in the UFC and finished his only win in the UFC. So, both guys are very dangerous. I wouldn't be shocked to see this fight finish inside the distance, but I am going to go with Erceg via decision. Kicking off the main card at UFC 295, we have a men's featherweight fight between Pat Sabatini and Diego Lopez. Pat Sabatini comes in with an 18-4 record, currently sitting as a -120 favorite. He is 33 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. He's fighting Diego Lopez, who comes in with a 22-6 record, currently sitting as a +105 underdog, 28 years old, 5'11", with a 72.5-inch reach. Cut my life into pieces. Diego Lopez comes in as the underdog, and I actually think he's going to win this fight. He has that crazy emo haircut, which is super funny, but a super interesting matchup because I wouldn't be shocked to see Pat Sabatini absolutely dominate this fight. Now, the reason I say that is because Diego Lopez, it's weird because this feels like a market, I won't say overcorrection, but just like an overreaction. This guy seems like a huge public underdog this week. I feel like a lot of people see that plus money on Diego, and they're going to be like, let me bet him right away. And yes, I do think that he's going to win, and yes, I might also be joining them. But, I mean, Diego Lopez spends way too much time off his back. He's okay with getting taken down because he knows how dangerous he is off his back. Diego Lopez has sick elite jiu-jitsu. This dude can snatch a limb up from any angle. This dude makes you be very safe. Like when you're on top, if you're in this full guard, half guard, side control, whatever, this dude makes you be very aware of where you're putting your hands, everything. And if you make one mistake, he's gonna snatch you up. In his most recent fight, he submitted Gavin Tucker with the absolute quickness, man. And that was kind of a scary submission. He cranked his arm bad, got the armbar and got him to tap like that. Kind of a crazy finish. And before that, he came in on short notice, made his debut against one of the best fighters in the division in Movsar Evloev, and he almost submitted him like 5 times. I will say, guys, I feel like the overreaction part of what I said earlier comes from this fight. He went into that fight, and Evloev, I think, was -1,000 in that fight, and this dude almost won. He almost pulled off the crazy upset because he was getting dominated the whole fight. He was getting beat up. But then he would throw up crazy submissions and have Evloev in dangerous spots. Everyone out there parlaying him, Evloev, that is, somehow or another betting him. We're all sweating. Everyone was like, "What is going on? This is crazy, right?" But the Russian Evloev was, proven to have good submission defense. Whereas most of the men in the UFC would have tapped to the spots that Diego put him in. That brings him to Pat Sabatini because Pat Sabatini is a very good grappler. He's a good wrestler with great top control. This guy can get you down and keep you there if he wants to. This guy is a legit grappler with relentless tenacity, good cardio. The thing is, he is very hittable on the feet. I do expect him to be the better striker here than Lopez in this fight. And the better wrestler, the better guy with top control here in this fight. And that's what makes me worried because Diego is so comfortable, so okay, so calm to let time go by, seconds tick by off his back. Pat Sabatini, the thing what worries me about him is that he is so hittable, man. The fact that he got front kicked and locked like he did against Damon Jackson, he got rocked in 30 seconds against Jamall Emmers, who we talked about earlier, and pulled a rabbit out the hat and got that submission from his back. That that can only save you so many times. This dude is very, very, very hittable, guys. And he's coming off a submission win over Lucas Almeida, which is a very good win. And like I said, he's a very good grappler. So in one sense, I think we might be getting a cheap line on Pat Sabatini. And on the other side, I feel like we're getting plus money on Diego, but it just feels such a public dog play. Everyone's on him. Everyone can see the finishing threat here from Lopez. And I actually think he will win this fight. I'm picking an underdog in this fight. But like I said, guys, I would not be shocked to see Pat Sabatini 30-27 this guy. Or even Pat Sabatini dominate the whole fight, winning, and then get submitted in the last round, the last 20 seconds of the fight. It's just one of those guys. Diego is so dangerous. Give me Lopez to win this fight. I think that he wins via submission at one point after being controlled by Sabatini. I think he does lock up the submission. I think Pat Sabatini can get finished. And I will say one thing that, like I said earlier, that goes in the favor of Diego is the striking defense from Pat. I really don't like the striking defense from Pat. He's pretty hittable. That does negate the perceived striking edge I give him. But give me Diego Lopez via submission, round 3. And in the next fight, we have an absolute war that's going to go down between two veterans. We have a men's lightweight fight between Matt, the Steamroller Frevola, and Benoit Saint-Denis, the God of War. Matt Frevola, 11-3-1, coming on a 3-fight winning streak. He is sitting at plus 185. He is 33 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach. Now he's fighting Benoit Saint-Denis, who comes in with a 12-1 record, currently sitting as a minus 225 favorite. He is 27 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach. So the tail of the tape clearly going towards Saint-Denis' way. He is 6 years younger, has a 2-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. And to me, he does have equal, if not slightly less power than Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola really turned heads in his most recent fight. He knocked out one of the most durable guys on the entire roster in Drew Dober. I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I did not see that coming. Finally, Drew Dober's chin gets cracked. And it was a sight to see, man. Matt Frevola can absolutely crack. Drew Dober after the fight said that was the hardest guy he's ever fought, or the hardest hitting guy he's ever fought. And that's definitely saying something, because Drew Dober has fought plenty of guys in the UFC. Before that, got a huge upset win against Otman Azaitar, where he left hooked him into the next dimension. And before that, he knocked out Gennaro Valdez as well with some sick ground and pound, where he knocked him out like 5 times in that fight. But this dude's coming off 3 straight knockouts, where he's looking like he's definitely ascending in his career, finally figuring it out on the feet, and has proven to have sick fight-changing power. Matt Frevola can absolutely crack. It's kind of crazy to see him at plus 185. But that brings me to Benoit Saint-Denis. And I will say, man, at minus 225, it's a little wide, man. I don't agree with that line. I figured Saint-Denis was going to be around minus 175 at minus 180 at most. And so I think a lot of people are betting him, parlaying him, because of his last win. He won as an underdog, 2 wins ago, against Ismail Bonfim, where he won as an underdog. Bonfim really dropped the ball, but we know now that Bonfim brothers are a little bit overrated. And in his most recent fight, this is what really impressed me, his Thiago Moises win. Thiago Moises is a very dangerous fighter for the division. He's always missing weight, so he's always really big and really bigger than always trying to get those extra pounds on his opponents. But he went in there and finished him as well, man. Saint-Denis has 12 wins, and all 12 have come via finish. This guy's never won a decision. This dude's a savage, man. This guy is a killer. And he's super well-rounded, and that's why I think he's going to win in this fight. I think that Denis is the fighter in this fight with the ability to take it down more so than Matt. I don't think that if things get hairy and Matt is trying to become a desperate wrestler, I don't think he's going to be able to take down Denis. Whereas I think Denis, if it's a close 50-50 striking fight, will be able to utilize his grappling, and then from there, really work for Frevola. So it's going to be an interesting fight for as long as it lasts. I definitely don't see it going to the cards. This is a fight of the night, definitely contender for sure. But I am going with Saint-Denis to finish this fight. I think the run for Frevola ends here. Nothing against him, and I know he's a huge fan favorite. And another guy that's out of Serra-Longo MMA, another hometown guy where the crowd's going to be going absolutely wild for every little thing he does. He's been calling out Paddy Pimblett for the longest time, and he has KO power with every punch he throws. So Saint-Denis, super durable. He's going to have to be careful, and both these guys are ex-military veterans. So on Veterans Day, kind of cool that they're on the main card. So the fans are definitely going to win in this fight. You guys are going to get a good fight, exciting fight. But give me Saint-Denis to win this fight. I think he finishes Matt Frevola via ground and pound in that second round. up next, we have a women's strawweight fight between Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern. Andrade comes in 24-12, riding a 3-fight losing streak, coming in at plus 165. She is 32 years old, 5'1", with a 62-inch reach. She's fighting Mackenzie Dern, who comes in with a 13-3 record, currently sitting as a minus 200 favorite. She is 30 years old, 5'4", with a 63-inch reach. Now, this line has not moved an inch, man. I first saw Dern at minus 200 earlier a couple days ago, and she's still minus 200. So this line is holding steady, and it's tough because I think that Jessica is a better overall fighter, but Mackenzie's such a specialist in one area in her jiu-jitsu that it's going to negate, the overall well-roundedness of Andrade. And this is a fight where it seems to me we have two fighters heading in two different directions. I feel like Mackenzie is still ascending and on her way to the title shot or contention path, you could say, whereas Jessica, I don't want to say she's check collecting, but she seems to be just out there to make money and make weight. I'm sure she's getting paid good show money here in the UFC at this point in her career. But it's funny because she's only 2 years older than Mackenzie Dern. Jessica Andrade is 32, Dern's 30. But in fight years, she's like 60. She's taken so much damage. She has 36 professional MMA fights at this point. She's fought champions. She's lost to champions. She's beaten champions. I mean, she has a lot of miles on her record and on her body, I should say. Whereas Mackenzie Dern just seems to be the fresher fighter at this point in their career. And the fact of the matter is, Jessica Andrade has been submitted the second most times out of any woman in the UFC, and Mackenzie Dern is an ADCC champion, man. She comes from a highly accredited jiu-jitsu family. There's probably not a woman on the roster that has better, not probably, there isn't. I know for a fact there isn't a better jiu-jitsu practitioner on the roster than Mackenzie Dern. So this comes down to, can Mackenzie Dern grab Jessica Andrade? And this is where it gets interesting in the breakdown because, yes, Andrade is on a 3-fight losing streak. She lost to Blanchfield, she lost to Jan, and she lost to Suarez. She got finished in all of those fights. She's gotten finished 3 straight times, guys. But the thing is, she looked horrible. She didn't look good at all. There was not one moment in any of those 3 recent fights that she looked good. And this is going to be her 4th fight in a calendar year. Like I said, I don't know if she's just stacking up checks or what's going on, but she doesn't take fights with the idea of winning, man. She took Blanchfield on short notice, and then she accepted the Tatiana Suarez fight, where I don't know why she did that, because Suarez is a killer. She's a beast, and she made her look like she's never fought before. So the thing with this fight is Blanchfield, elite wrestler, Tatiana Suarez, elite wrestler, Jan, elite, not elite, but very good striker, right? Mackenzie Dern is not a good wrestler. She has very bad takedowns. And she's not the best striker at all. That's one thing in her game that's improved significantly in the last few years is her striking, is her boxing. Working with Jason Perillo in San Diego, she is getting better on her feet, which is obviously what she needs. Like I said, she's really good at grappling. But it's not as good as Jessica Andrade, no way. And I worry, can Mackenzie grab Jessica? Can she get her down? Because if not, if this stays on the feet, it's going to be dangerous for Mackenzie Dern. I will say, in her most recent fight, Mackenzie Dern did show me improved striking against Angela Hill. The thing is, Angela Hill, kind of like, it reminds me of Conor and Khabib, right? So obviously Khabib's not the better striker than Conor, right? But it's Conor's the one that got clipped in that fight and put on his butt. But it's not because, like I said, Khabib's some sort of this crazy like K1 kickboxer. It's because of the threat of the takedown. Angela Hill got turned to a bad striker by Mackenzie Dern because of the threat of the takedown so severe that if Angela Hill were to get taken down, she would have gotten finished, and she almost did a few times. So that opens up the striking for Dern, which is very good in this fight. So, man, it's tough because at 2-1, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to be laying 2-1 odds on a girl where if she can't grab Jessica Andrade and control her and grapple her, and it turns to a 15-minute kickboxing fight, Jessica Andrade is going to win. But I think that she does get submitted. I think that Mackenzie Dern at some point will get a takedown, will get a hold of Jessica Andrade and submit her once it does. But she needs to do it ASAP, because if Jessica Andrade, at plus money, at plus 165 gets right here, I'm going to feel so bad. This is such an easy spot for the underdog pick in hindsight, but we'll know on Saturday night. Well, I actually do think that Mackenzie Dern will win this fight via submission. I'm actually going to go with round 2. Now it's time for the title fights in the co-main event, guys. Do me a favor really quick. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think so far. We have the UFC Interim Heavyweight Championship. We have Sergei Pavlovich taking on Tom Aspinall. Sergei Pavlovich, 18-1, sitting as a minus 105 underdog. He is 31 years old, 6'3", with the 84-inch reach. He is fighting Tom Aspinall, who comes in with a 13-3 record, currently sitting as a betting -115 favorite. He is 30 years old, 6'5", with a 78-inch reach. So young Frank Mir comes in and takes this fight on short notice. The way this fight came about was, so the main event for this pay-per-view was supposed to be Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Jon Jones gets hurt, but even if he didn't get hurt, Sergei was penciled in as the backup. So let's say in a world where the fight didn't get, scrapped and Jon Jones is healthy and Stipe is healthy and they go and fight on Saturday, Sergei was going to weigh in on Friday as the backup in case someone got injured. Sure enough, Jon Jones got injured, but they didn't give the fight to Stipe because he's a bum. They gave it to Tom Aspinall. So Sergei, I know it's short notice, but in a way, Sergei was ready. Sergei was in a camp. He was getting ready to fight just in case something happened. And guess what? Something did happen, so he's going to be ready. Tom Aspinall took the fight like not on a whim, but he got called. Hey, can you take this fight? And he said yes. He told Ariel he's going to try to do what Bisping did, trying to get this title and dip real quick on short notice. It's tough because he's the favorite. Tom Aspinall is the favorite at -115, but you still have to pay minus money on Sergei Pavlovich. If Sergei Pavlovich gets the plus money, I expect a lot of people to hammer that right away. But I don't think it will. I think this line is going to hold steady the whole week. But I am going to pick Sergei Pavlovich to win this fight. I think he finishes Tom Aspinall. I think someone gets finished in this fight. A prop I'm looking at is fight ends via knockout. I don't think Tom's going to submit Sergei. And that's the thing. Tom Aspinall is the better fighter, guys, in this fight. He is more well-rounded than Sergei due to his jiu-jitsu and due to his grappling. Tom Aspinall has very good wrestling and very good jiu-jitsu. He is very, very fast for a heavyweight of his caliber. He reminds me of Cyril Gane. The speed on Cyril Gane, Pavlovich, and Aspinall is crazy compared to the rest of the division. I love these guys. These are two high-level guys, man. What I really liked is that Volkov, finish, the way he was able to level change and get Volkov in, get it on his hips, get him down, and then submit him shortly after. It was eye-opening, guys, for sure. But then he took a very nasty injury against Curtis Blades, a pretty significant, knee injury, had to get reconstructive knee surgery, comes back and does Marcin Tybura right away, straight away, right when this fight starts, boom. It's actually kind of crazy. Sergei Pavlovich has the UFC's shortest average fight time, and Tom Aspinall has the second shortest average UFC fight time. So someone's going to get slept in this fight. I don't think we're going to get a Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou type fight where they both stare at each other and not do anything. I think someone's going to go berserk right away. Both guys like to go forward. I expect Tom Aspinall to shoot early and often in this fight, but I actually expect Sergei to defend, keep this on the feet, and then knock out Tom Aspinall. The only time we've seen Sergei finish and lose in general was against Alistair Overeem, where he did get taken down and pummeled. That's the thing with Sergei. Big red flag is off his back. He doesn't look very good. It's funny because he's from Dagestan, but he can't wrestle. Off his back, he is not good. He's going to get dominated by Tom Aspinall. If Tom Aspinall is able to take this guy down past his guard, he's going to finish the fight. So I actually think that Tom Aspinall does have some value at -115. But that's the thing, man. I'm going with my gut. Give me Sergei Pavlovich, the guy that's not on short notice, to win this fight via knockout. That knee surgery is a little worrisome, but I actually don't foresee Pavlovich going out there and leg kicking, chopping his leg down at all. Sergei Pavlovich has thrown one leg kick in the entire UFC run that he's had, and he's finishing all these fights in the first round with this hand. So he's going to trust his hands. I really like the speed from Sergei's hands, and someone's going to get caught. I will say, both these guys don't have the best striking defense, man. Both these guys are kind of like, they have that invincible field with them. They think they can just go forward and then the man, and they're going to dominate guys, which they have been. Not going to say they haven't been, but they definitely aren't the best defensive strikers for sure. But which leads me to believe someone's going to get caught very quickly in this fight. So give me Sergei Pavlovich, round 1 knockout. His streak of round 1 knockouts is going to continue. Just really quick, put it on the screen. Look at this stuff, guys. Look at that picture too. Nice picture. We have round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout. Shout out to Jamall for even lasting 4 minutes. Derek Lewis, less than a minute. Tai Tuivasa, less than a minute. Curtis Blades, 3 minutes. This dude's a beast, man. Nothing against Tom Aspinall, man. One of my favorite prospects. I wish this was for the real belt because, in my opinion, these are the 2 best heavyweights in the entire UFC. So give me Sergei Pavlovich to win via knockout first round. And in the main event, boys, we have the UFC light heavyweight strap up for grabs. We have Jiri Prochazka taking on Alex Poatan Pereira. Jiri Prochazka comes in 29-3-1, currently sitting as a +105 underdog. 31 years old, 6'3", with the 80-inch reach. He is fighting Alex Pereira, who comes in with the 8-2 record, currently sitting as a -125 favorite. 36 years old, 6'4", with the 80-inch reach. Oh boy, man. Just like the last fight, someone's gonna get caught, someone's gonna get put out, and someone's gonna get slept in this fight. And I can see it being either guy. I really can. So at plus 105, you think, oh, I should take the guy plus money if it's such a close fight, right? 50-50. I'm going with Alex Poatan Pereira to become a champion in his second division in the UFC by defeating Prochazka via knockout in this fight. But man, Pereira is very hittable, guys. Pereira is super hittable, but so is Jiri. Jiri fights with his hands on his hips. Like, he's super unorthodox. He's super awkward. And it's funny because Alex is super proper, super technical. This guy's a K1 kick, or he just got Glory Kickboxing Hall of Famer. This dude is a beast of a kickboxer, and Jiri's kind of like this wild man, this wild samurai throwing crazy angles, throwing crazy strikes. And he's also very, very hittable. Jiri gets hit in he does get hit in every single one of his fights. But I actually think that Jiri has a way better chin than Alex. Alex does not react to shots well, and it's crazy because he was rocking Izzy. I don't think that Izzy was playing possum. I think that he was getting close to finishing that fight, and he got caught bad by Izzy. And that was my analysis going into that fight, that rematch. I was like, dude, Izzy's going to sleep Alex because he's very hittable. Alex almost got knocked out in the very first round of that Izzy fight, the first time they fought in the UFC. He got saved by the bell in that very first round. He got put on skates early. And I can definitely see Jiri doing that as well to Alex, but I think that Alex is going to be getting hit less often and landing more on Jiri than Jiri is going to be landing on Alex, even though the times when Jiri lands on Alex, they're probably going to affect him more because, like I said, Jiri has very good, a very good chin, very good durability. But I will say, I haven't even talked about it yet. Jiri's coming off a crazy, crazy layoff. He hasn't fought in a year and 4 months where he had some sort of shoulder injury too. And Dana White came out and said it's the worst injury he's seen in MMA, and he wasn't sure if he was going to fight again. And the fact that he only took 16 months off, and now he's back in less than a year and a half, that's kind of crazy. He's fighting Alex Pereira, who is super active. This is going to be his third fight in 6 months, guys. That's insane. He's super active. I was at his most recent fight against Jan Blachowicz, and I thought he lost. But I was there, so it's kind of a different thing when you watch it on the computer, you watch it. But he definitely won that fight. And he's been out grappled for sure in a lot of his fights. I don't foresee Jiri Prochazka trying to out wrestle Pereira. I think it's going to be on the feet for as long as it lasts. I think Alex Poatan Pereira wins via knockout and does catch Prochazka due to his weird striking defense that he definitely doesn't have. But I will say it's kind of crazy. He's 36 years old, man. He's getting up there in age. This is probably his last shot at another belt. Give me Pereira via knockout, plus or minus 125. I hope more money comes in on Jiri. Hopefully we can get this line down and closer to a pick'em. Maybe I will see myself betting on Alex Pereira. But in the main event, guys, at UFC 295, we will see Alex Pereira knock out Jiri Prochazka in the very first round. And that'll do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think about my picks, about my bets so far. I will be betting on Jared Gorin for sure. I think I will be betting on Diego. I think I'll be betting on a few other guys, but I really like the card, man. Slava Claus at plus money is interesting for sure. Jared Gorin, via decision props, interesting for sure. And in the co-main and main event, I don't foresee myself sitting those fights out. I got to have some action, man. Such banger fights for sure. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode, guys. A little bit longer for sure, but let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.